exclamation point. Jason Tatum, all kind of mean on that one. And the Boston Celtics advance to round 2. They beat the Heat in 5.
Against Harden, Doncic lines it up. It goes! He is that guy!
PJ Washington has gone full, wrestling villain here.
Love it.
Irving inside, the layup. Oh! How did that to win? Mavericks take the lead. Irving dancing, prancing, pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! And a foul. Mavericks in the second round.
The Boston Celtics have punched their ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals for the 6th time in 8 years.
Mavs lead the series 3-2. The game tied 1-10 apiece. Here's Doncic. Gives it up. Washington fires. And it's a 3! 10 seconds left. Doncic drives, backs him down, gets deep. Gives it up. Washington double clutch 3. They're going to call a foul on the shot. And the Dallas Mavericks, for the second time in 3 years, are going to the Western Conference Finals.
Tatum trying to get free. Throwing in the corner. Brown fakes, fires up the 3. Bang! Bang! Jaylen Brown knocks down the 3 to tie the game. Tatum finds Holiday. Holiday goes inside. Leads in, banks it in, and the foul. Tie game with 38.9 remaining. Hard. Drives into the paint, knocked away, and stolen by Holiday. And the Celtics, with the inspired comeback, take a 3-0 lead in this best-of-7 series. Brown on the drive, pulls back, lost the ball, got it back, kicks it out, White, corner 3. Bang! That's it, it's over. The Celtics are heading back to the NBA Finals. And another crushing finish for these Indiana Pacers.
Corner 3 for the lead. Good! What a shot by Washington! And the Dallas Mavericks have come from behind to beat Minnesota in Game 1. Doncic has the ball, down by 2. There's the switch. Gobert's out there. Doncic maneuvers for the lead. Got it! Got it! What a shot! Dallas has taken the lead. Irving and Edwards-Towns will pick him up. Backpedals. Long shot! Kyrie Irving! Conley will come into the paint. Knocked away by Gafford. Third block. It's Dallas's ball. Tailed by McDaniels. Gafford! Up high, down hard, and a foul! Dagger! Yeah, it was a big foul in this series. Doncic 3. Doncic creeping his way inside with an easy shot. 5 of 5. And Doncic has it with a lively screen. Tailed by Anderson. 14 for Luka on the logo.
What is going on here?
He is on one tonight. Doncic again, another 3. Got it, he's a flamethrower. He is on fire, 20 points. The Western Conference champions are the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to the NBA Finals. They'll take on the Boston Celtics.
The NBA Finals are here. After taking care of their conference finals opponents, the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics will face each other in the final round of the NBA's 2024 playoffs. For the Mavericks, this is their first time in the finals since 2011, when current head coach Jason Kidd was a player, and Hall of Famer Dirk Nowitzki led the team to their first championship in franchise history. For the Celtics, this is familiar territory. This will be their second finals appearance in 3 years, having lost against the Warriors in 2022. Their top 2 players are no strangers to big stages. This was Jaylen Brown's 6th conference finals appearance of his 8-year career, and Jason Tatum's 5th of his 7-year career. And saying that out loud is actually kind of crazy just how successful his franchise has been with these two. Anyways, this video isn't a matchup preview or a history of how these teams got to where they are or anything like that. It's not about Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or even Luka Doncic, the star players who will all be competing for their first championship ring. Instead, this video is about struggle, about growth and redemption. It's the story of two players, each integral to their respective teams, hoping to prove themselves and alter their legacy forever. This is... Our story starts with Kristaps Porzingis, a name you might have heard before, or maybe you feel more like...
What the f*** did they do? Who the f*** is this? Who the f*** is Tingus Pingus? I never heard of f***ing Latvia!
He's currently a Boston Celtic, a member of the aforementioned finals-bound roster. But it wasn't always this way.
With the 4th pick in the 2015 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis.
Porzingis was drafted 4th overall into the Knicks in the 2015 NBA Draft, a player with lots of hype surrounding his name because of his unique build and playstyle. He was dubbed the Unicorn, which essentially refers to a big man with the playstyle of a guard, tight ball handling, shooting, speed. He was listed at 7'2", 230 pounds at the time of the draft, with a 7'6" wingspan, the longest in that class. Though many Knicks fans were skeptical at the time, it was undeniable that he had incredible potential as an NBA player. In his first season, Porzingis crushed any expectations, averaging 14, 7, and 1 assist, and 42, 33, 84% shooting, along with almost 2 blocks a game. This earned him a place on the All-Rookie First Team and second in the Rookie of the Year voting behind first overall pick Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks had such a high pick for a reason, though. They were bad. The team would miss the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row, with superstar forward Carmelo Anthony still on the roster, though they did improve by 15 wins from the previous year. In his second season, Porzingis took a big jump, averaging 18, 7, and 2 on 45, 36, 79% shooting, along with 2 blocks a game. Unfortunately, this still didn't translate to much team success, as the Knicks finished 31-51, despite trading for former MVP Derrick Rose in the offseason. Although they were confident going into the season after making several offseason moves, internal tensions led the team to once again fall short of expectations. In the 2017 offseason, after 4 years without anything close to a playoff appearance, the Knicks front office decided to commit to a rebuild, trading Carmelo Anthony to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Enes Kanter and Doug McDermott, and letting Derrick Rose sign with the Cavs in free agency. Now Porzingis was set to be the face of the franchise, the primary option on the team, and he responded as well as anyone could have hoped for, having a breakout season, averaging 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist per game on 44, 40, 79% shooting. He was so good, in fact, that he was named an All-Star for the first time in his career, set to play in the annual All-Star Game on February 18th, 2018. After so many years of mediocrity, the Knicks seem to have set themselves on a path of redemption, spearheaded by their unique big man. And then...
Credit the Milwaukee defense. Inside Porzingis! But he goes down hard, and he's hurt.
Just 2 weeks after being named an All-Star, Porzingis tore his left ACL in a regular season matchup versus the Bucks. A season-ending injury, he would miss the last 28 games on the Knicks' schedule, where they went 6-22 in his absence. He never played his first All-Star game. With such a major injury, Porzingis was set to miss the entirety of the 2018-19 season. After mounting tensions from past incidents, along with the Knicks' reluctance to give him a contract extension in hopes of opening up more salary for free agency, Porzingis would request a trade before the deadline, a request which was promptly granted.
Let's get to the story everybody's been talking about over the last few hours, and that is the trade of the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis, who has voiced his displeasure with management in New York, wanted out, and gets his wish, traded with Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Courtney Lee to Dallas. And the Knicks get Dennis Smith Jr., DeAndre Jordan, and Wesley Matthews. And they potentially have all kind of cap space to try to make a splash in the off-season market for big-name free agents.
Still injured, Porzingis was sent to the Dallas Mavericks, who hope to pair him with their recently drafted superstar, Luka Doncic. The Knicks received former lottery pick Dennis Smith Jr., DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and 2 future first-rounders. The first of these they used to draft Quentin Grimes, while the second did not convey, but would have been the pick used to draft Derek Lively II. The Mavericks received Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., Trey Burke, and Courtney Lee, and would finish the season 33-49 as the second worst team in the West. The Knicks would finish 17-65 as the worst team in the East. In his first full season with the Mavericks, Porzingis averaged 20, 10, and 2 on 43, 35, 80% shooting, as well as his usual 2 blocks a game. The Mavs finished the season 43-32 as the 7th seed in the West, but would lose to the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs in 6 games. In his first playoff series, Porzingis only played 3 of the 6 games, averaging 24 points and 9 rebounds on 53, 53, 87% shooting. A pretty incredible performance, but it all came back to the major questions surrounding the big man: injuries. Despite his good statistics, there was still concern about Porzingis' ability to stay on the floor. He played 57 of the 75 games that season, but it never truly felt like the team found their flow on offense or defense. Still, this was a great start to build on, and there was still time for the 2 stars to build chemistry with one another. Luka had taken a massive, almost unprecedented sophomore jump, and the team was still adjusting to their new superstar. The 2020-21 season rolled around, and Porzingis was still recovering from surgery on his meniscus, an injury he suffered in the Clippers series the previous playoffs. He would return for the Mavericks' 10th game that year, but his mobility had noticeably declined, limiting him on offense, but more importantly on defense, something emphasized by the head coach, Rick Carlisle. He would end the season playing only 43 games, averaging 29 and 2 on 48, 38, 86% shooting. He had a career low in blocks per game, which was 1.3, still trying to readjust after his surgery. Even with these struggles, he was still an important part of the team. The Mavericks were 26-17 when he played, and 16-13 when he didn't. That year, they faced the Clippers again in the first round, though this time Porzingis played poorly, dropping to 13, 5, and 1 assist on 47, 30, 84% shooting. The Mavericks would lose the series in 7 games after leading 3-2. Once again, it was clear that the chemistry between the star duo was not what the organization had hoped for when trading for Porzingis. Whether it was his inability to play for long stretches of games, poor coaching, or just immaturity from the 2 young stars, the duo just never bonded the way they were meant to under Rick Carlisle. Speaking of which, there's a new head coach in town, and it's none other than former Dallas Maverick Jason Kidd. This shift in leadership was a sign of opportunity, of new beginnings, a beginning of a new era. Unfortunately, this would be an era devoid of any Kristaps Porzingises. Averaging 19, 8, and 2 on 45, 28, 87% efficiency, with his usual 2 blocks a game. Porzingis would only play in 34 of the 56 games leading up to the trade deadline, with several different injuries keeping him out. With his continually decreasing efficiency, unrelenting poor health, and salary concerns, the Mavericks would trade Porzingis to the Washington Wizards at the deadline in return for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans.
According to our Tim McMahon and Adrian Wojnarowski, the Mavs, they're trading Kristaps Porzingis to the Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. What do you think of that trade, Perk? Again, one more time. The Mavs are trading Kristaps Porzingis to the Wizards, Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans in return.
The Mavericks ended their season 19-7 after the trade and would go on to make a conference finals run, largely as a result of Spencer Dinwiddie's incredible play. The Wizards would miss the playoffs as the 12th seed, with star guard Bradley Beal missing the end of the season after undergoing wrist surgery. Porzingis played much better in his few games for the Wizards, but the general consensus was that the Mavericks had won the trade by getting rid of him, allowing other players on the team like Jalen Brunson to shine, and centering the offense completely around Luka. So, how will Porzingis respond? Now that he's stuck on the Washington Wizards? A team that's been the epitome of mediocrity? Well, by returning to form. After watching his declining defense and mobility and his mountain of injuries piling ever higher, expectations for Porzingis were pretty low going into the 2022-23 season. But Porzingis completely revitalized his career in Washington, averaging a career-high 23 points along with 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks per game, the highest efficiency of his career. Most importantly, he played over 60 games for the first time since his sophomore season, proving he was still capable of contributing to a team, but the Washington Wizards were still pretty bad, finishing 35-47, another season missing the playoffs, and another season where their highest paid player, Bradley Beal, missed a large chunk of games. So finally, after many years of dilly-dallying and trying to delay the inevitable, the Wizards decided to blow it up. and commit to a rebuild, trading both Beal and Porzingis in the offseason for younger prospects and future draft picks. After such a great year, many teams were expected to be interested in Porzingis, which was definitely the case. Ultimately, the Boston Celtics were able to land him in a 3-team deal that saw former DPOY Marcus Smart end up with the Grizzlies, along with a whole host of draft picks being moved around. In the 2023-24 regular season, Porzingis continued with his impressive play, averaging 27 and 2 with 2 blocks a game, all on 52, 38, 86% shooting. He thrived in his role as the third option on a dominant Celtics team that ended the season 64 and 18 and were the favorites to win the championship since the start of the season. Even with their historically good regular season, though, without a championship to back it up, the team would inevitably be disrespected. During their first round matchup against the Heat, Porzingis suffered a calf strain, which has kept him out all the way through the Eastern Conference Finals, though he's projected to return for the biggest series of his career. If the Celtics can win, he will have proven himself as an undeniably important part of their success, as many believe that Porzingis' health and play in the series will be the determining factor in which team will prevail. It will be no easy task, though, as the Celtics will face off against Porzingis' old team, the Dallas Mavericks, led by his old teammate, the Slovenian sensation Luka Doncic, and his co-star, and this is where the second half of our story begins. Kyrie Irving was taken first overall in the 2011 NBA draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had just completed their first season without LeBron James since 2003. Finishing with just 19 wins, the organization was desperate for the rise of a new star after failing to build around a generational talent in LeBron. Kyrie would average 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists on 47, 40, 87% shooting, easily winning the Rookie of the Year award and proving himself to be an incredible scorer at the NBA level. Not only that, he had already begun to make a name for himself as an elite closer, playing up to big moments reliably and efficiently. His high-level production, shot creation, and shot making was almost unbelievable, especially for such a young guard still transitioning to professional basketball. In his second and third seasons, he continued to play at an extremely high level, earning All-Star selections both years. Even with his contributions, the team struggled, missing the playoffs all 3 years while their last number 1 pick won back-to-back championships in Miami. Still, Kyrie's future was bright. The team still had time to build up a competent roster around him and find their way back into contention. Sure, Anthony Bennett might have just had the worst season by a first overall pick in NBA history, but the Cavs would have another chance in the 2014 draft, having jumped up 8 spots in the lottery for their second first overall pick in a row. Surely Kyrie had proven he could be a primary option on a good team. He just needed the right pieces around him. He needed someone like... In 2014, LeBron returned to Cleveland from his Heat stint, announced in the famous letter aptly titled, "I'm coming home," immediately changing the trajectory of the team. In the letter, he described his wish to bring a championship to the Cavs organization, and talked about how he felt he could help unlock the potential of the young team, including star point guard Kyrie Irving. And he wasn't wrong. The Cavs would fully commit to LeBron in the 2014 offseason, signing him and trading for Kevin Love to form a big three in Cleveland. They would go on to win 53 games, the second best record in the East, and would make it all the way to the NBA Finals, where they would lose to Stephen Curry, or I guess Andre Iguodala, and the Golden State Warriors in 6 games. During the regular season, Kyrie averaged 22, 3, and 5 on 47, 42, 86% shooting. In the first playoff run of his career, he averaged 19, 4, and 4 on 44, 45, 84% shooting splits, a respectable performance for a player who was still reaching his prime. In LeBron's second season back, the Cavs would again dominate in the regular season, winning 57 games and earning the number 1 seed in the East. They would return to the finals for a rematch, defeating the Golden State Warriors in 7 after trailing 3-1, the first NBA team to overcome such a deficit in the finals. Both LeBron and Kyrie played incredibly, cementing themselves in league history with one of the most legendary playoff runs ever. Kyrie would hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history during that Game 7 performance, an unforgettable ending to an unforgettable season.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown! And the Cavaliers by 3!
It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in Cleveland, though. With LeBron's return, Kyrie unavoidably went from the future face of the franchise to playing second fiddle. Even with the team's success, Kyrie began to feel disgruntled in his role, which wasn't helped by the NBA media constantly pushing this narrative.
On me. Kyrie, Tristan called called LeBron a great father after the Chicago game. What? Yes, he did.
Great father. Oh, a great father. Oh, I thought you. Oh, my bad. I interpreted that complete wrong. I thought you said he was a great father to him. I was like, what?
Called him a great father. So what type of parental role has he played for you and your teammates, LeBron?
Oh, okay. So you. Parental role. Honestly, I'm. He's. I don't know how to really answer that question. He's been a great leader for us. I have one father. That's my dad, Irving.
The 2016-17 season rolled around, and Kyrie put up what were the best statistics of his career so far. 25 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists a game on 47, 40, 91% shooting efficiency. Another All-Star appearance and another trip to the NBA Finals, this time losing in 5 to the Golden State Warriors, who had added Kevin Durant in the offseason, a ridiculous signing for an already ridiculously talented roster. When the offseason rolled around, reports of Kyrie being dissatisfied in Cleveland continued to flood in, and NBA media figures would speculate on his relationships with members of the organization, especially LeBron James. Though none of this was ever confirmed by Kyrie himself. In June, the Cavs front office participated in trade talks that would have sent Kyrie Irving out and brought Indiana superstar Paul George in. The trade never went through, but this put even more strain on Kyrie's relationship with the organization. By mid-July of 2017, Kyrie Irving would privately request a trade from the Cavaliers, a request which was promptly leaked to the NBA media, leading to much public scrutiny. He wanted a different role, a new beginning. And it seemed like he would be given just the opportunity. In August, Kyrie would be traded to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, a 2018 first-round pick which would be used to draft Colin Sexton in 1 second.
I think it's a win-win, but I think that, it also depends on how you look at it as well. I mean, if you're the Boston Celtics, obviously Kyrie Irving, you get a good degree of core certainty because he's a championship point guard, a prolific scorer in this game. He's championship tested. You know what he brings to the table. And so that definitely helps you while not only are you still in championship contention within the Eastern Conference, but you're incentivized even more because you got a guy in Kyrie Irving who wants it out. And if anybody has an incentive to go against LeBron and to try and beat him, it would be Kyrie Irving. So let's put that in perspective.
In his first season in Boston, Kyrie was incredible, putting up 24, 4, and 5 on 49, 41, 89% shooting, leading the young Boston core to a 55-win season and the 2 seed in the East. Unfortunately, he was kept out of the playoffs with a knee injury, though the team, led by the trio Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Terry Rozier, would still make it all the way to the conference finals, ultimately losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 7 games. The future looked bright for Kyrie and the Celtics, though, as they were set to be a powerhouse in the East for years to come. In the offseason, it was clear that he saw it the same way, verbally committing to re-signing in Boston during a season ticket holder event.
But there will be more spaces up there. Kyrie, how important is it to see number 11 up there one day?
It's quite important, and I appreciate that, Scout. I joined in, but I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. If you guys will have me back, I plan on re-signing here next year.
Boom!
So I appreciate it.
This would prove to be a mistake. Kyrie's second season in Boston was a much rockier road. Though he continued to put up impressive numbers, throughout the season there were several reports of the bad locker room vibes and poor team chemistry. Kyrie would end up taking much of the blame because of his intended role as a leader of what was still a pretty young team. By the time All-Star Weekend rolled around, a video of him talking with Kevin Durant would go viral, with speculation that the two were planning to team up, both being free agents that offseason. When asked again about re-signing with Boston, his response was dramatically different.
So, when you were last year, and maybe not last year, a couple times when you talked to the media about why you wanted to remain in Boston, why you said that before the season. Since then, there's been reports about uncertainty surrounding that commitment. Has anything wavered in your mind?
I mean, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I feel is best for my career. And, that's just where it stands. And my focus this season is winning the championship with the Boston Celtics. Obviously we had goals coming into the season, and the primary goal is to win the championship. So that's where my focus is.
Has your mindset shifted, though, in regards to re-signing with Boston, like the announcement?
Ask me July 1st.
By the time the playoffs started, Kyrie's name was entrenched in rumors and speculation, questions about his leadership abilities, concerns about his commitment to his current team, criticism of him bailing on both the Cavs and the Celtics. Boston's playoff run that year would only further these narratives, as they would lose to the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round in just 5 games. A series where Kyrie was heavily criticized for putting up a lot of shots on poor efficiency, finishing his postseason run shooting 38.5% from the field and 31% from 3, both career lows. In the 2019 offseason, he would sign with the Brooklyn Nets, officially teaming up with superstar forward Kevin Durant for the next chapter of his career. There's a lot that could be said about Kyrie's Brooklyn Nets tenure. In fact, I'm sure there have been several hour-long videos about the failure of this era of Nets basketball as a whole. For the sake of time and relevancy, I'm going to skip over most of it. Just know that they were plagued by injuries, players interfering with front office decisions, and some very poor Kyrie Irving off-court decision-making. For our purposes, we'll focus on his interactions with Celtics fans during his time on the Nets. His returns to Boston's home court were greeted with a lot of general hostility, rude chants, booing, etc.
My hands, I'm going to move it, and I'm going to trust the guys around him. Incredible.
25 assist totals proves what you're talking about. 25 points on 40 field goals. 31 seconds to go, and the lead swelling to 7.
That chant was about Kyrie Irving. He's shaking his head, smiling.
This was pregame. Kyrie Irving came out to warm up. The fans booing him. It's his first game back here at the TD Garden since he left the Celtics. First game with fans. He played one earlier when there were no fans in the building. This is when he was introduced to the crowd.
During a preseason game in 2021, he was seen burning sage to cleanse the energy of the arena. He would only play 20 games of his first season in Brooklyn, while KD would miss the entire season, still recovering from an Achilles injury he suffered in the 2019 playoffs. In his first real season on the Nets, Kyrie averaged 27, 5, and 6, on 51, 40, 92% shooting, which is absurdly good. The Nets would finish 48 and 24, the second seed in the East, to be matched up against none other than the Boston Celtics in the first round. The Nets would win the series in 5 games, a tense matchup because of Kyrie's history. A tension somehow made even more tense by him infamously stomping on the Celtics logo after a win in the TD Garden. They would lose against the Bucks in 7 in the next round behind freak injuries to both James Harden and Kyrie, but were expected to return and dominate with their big 3 in the next season. Unfortunately for them, James Harden would get pretty fed up with the antics of the team, specifically Kyrie's antics, and request a trade at the 2021-22 deadline. The Nets would send him off to the Sixers in exchange for Ben Simmons, leaving just 2 of the big 3 standing. Both KD and Kyrie would miss significant time in the regular season, leaving them as the 7th seed, facing the Boston Celtics again in the first round. This time, the Celtics would prove to be too much to handle, defeating the Nets in a sweep, an embarrassing series where Kyrie would publicly express his frustration on and off the court.
Clock at 4. Irving fires away. Got it! A 2-pointer for Kyrie Irving.
And I think he might have saluted them with a hand signal right there.
This is good defense, a better offense. Knockdown shot in the corner, and then little hello to everybody in the building.
Not playing part-time, now full-time. But when he's been on the court, when he's played, he is one of the most electrifying players in the game. Another outstanding performance.
So the Nets would start the 2022-23 season pretty strong. After failing to come to an agreement on a contract extension, Kyrie would request a trade from the organization before the February trade deadline, leading to the Nets shipping both him and KD out of Brooklyn. After a messy few years as part of this failed super team, Kyrie would find himself in a completely new situation, paired once again with a generational superstar hoping to push towards title contention. The Dallas Mavericks would trade for Kyrie Irving in the midst of a somewhat disappointing season. Following their conference finals run in the previous postseason, the Mavericks were entering the trade deadline as a 6th seed in an incredibly tight Western Conference, with a 28-26 record. Kyrie was considered damaged goods after his controversial time with the Nets. Though he was still playing at a high level, his off-court actions had affected his reputation around the league, meaning the cost of trading for him was much lower than usual. The Mavericks sent out Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 future seconds, and their 2029 first-round pick in return for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. This was an especially risky move because Kyrie was set to be a free agent in the following offseason. If things went poorly, he could leave the Mavs for nothing and sign to a different team. And things did go poorly.
Here's A.J. Lawson. Lawson a deep 3! And it's way off target. Ntilikina trying to save it in. McKinley right in the corner. Off the And the game is over. That loss eliminates Dallas from play-in tournament contention, which certainly seemed like it was already trending in that direction.
Kyrie would average 27, 5, and 6 on 51, 39, 95% shooting in the 20 games he played after the trade. But the Mavericks would end the season just 10 and 18, finishing as the 11th seed after tanking out of the play-in to keep a draft pick that would have been owed to the New York Knicks. Kyrie and Luka both dealt with injuries, playing only 16 of the 28 possible games together, but had only a 5 and 11 record sharing the court. It was obvious that they needed much more time together to build up the chemistry needed to fully unlock the potential of this duo. Not only that, the Mavs defense took a hit after the trade, losing Dinwiddie, a solid defender, and Dorian Finney-Smith, a great defender, for Kyrie, who was never known for playing exceptionally well at that end of the floor. They were in quite the precarious situation. Luckily for them, on the first day of the 2023 free agency, Kyrie re-signed with the Mavericks for 3 years, $126 million. In his first full season with the Mavericks, he averaged 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 50, 41, 91% shooting. The team chemistry had noticeably improved from the previous season, and the addition of rookie center Derek Lively II added an extra much-needed dynamic both offensively and defensively. The Mavs would end the season 50 and 32 as the 5th seed in the West, having a strong post-trade deadline finish after acquiring forward PJ Washington and center Daniel Gafford. At the deadline, they were the 8th seed, with a record of 28 and 23. The team would win 22 of their last 31 games after their new acquisitions to propel themselves out of the play-in. In the playoffs, they've made an incredible run, beating 3 of the top 4 teams in the West to make it to the NBA Finals, facing who else but the Boston Celtics, Kyrie's former team. So what exactly would a second championship mean for Kyrie Irving? Well, he would once again win as the second option on a team led by a superstar talent who is uniquely versatile and well known for big performances. In other words, things would seem to have come full circle. Kyrie himself admits his immaturity and regrets in how he handled his time on both the Cavs and the Celtics. He's now in a position to redefine his legacy and go against the narrative that he cannot put aside his ego for the good of his team. He is playing exactly the role that is needed of him, and as a result, him, his teammates, and his team have all thrived. So, what did we learn today? Well, I think the moral of the story is that if you want to make it to the NBA Finals, you have to trade Grant Williams off your team.